Good morning, everyone. This is Raffy Gutierrez on another episode of Crossroads of Faith. And before I begin my talk this morning, I just want to thank everybody who has subscribed, liked, and commented in our channel, Usapang Religion. We really appreciate your support, your comments, and your sharing of our channel to your friends and your family. All of the things you do to let our messages get out there really helps us a lot. So, without further ado, I want to share my talk today, which is probably going to be another controversial topic depending on which side of the spiritual or religious spectrum you're on. So, last night I actually saw for the first time the very popular Netflix movie that's been trending, especially here in the Philippines, because it's actually a Filipino movie. I'm not promoting Netflix or that movie. I'm sharing my insight and my thoughts. So just to get that out of the way, I don't want people to think I'm necessarily promoting that video portal. So the movie's name is Gomburza, short for Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora. Three historical secular priests who were martyred during the Spanish era of the Philippines in the late 1800s. And these three priests who were martyred basically ignited the revolution that marked the beginning of the end of the Spanish colonization for almost 400 years. So why did this movie become my choice of topic for this week's Usapang Religion? And it is just, I have to say, I'm usually terrified by horror movies, the ones that make you not want to sleep at night because you think there's a ghost or an evil being hovering on top of you or beside you. Strangely enough, the effect of watching this Filipino movie ended up becoming my talk for Crossroads of Faith this week, because I think there is a very serious message that the film wants to communicate. And I apologize to the scriptwriter and the cast of the team, who put this film together, if whatever I am saying about this movie is not what was intended. This is from my own personal and first reflections and a whole night of just mulling over what I saw that really kept me up all night. And the reason why I think I couldn't sleep was because of I felt the pain, the suffering the three priests went through when they were about to be slaughtered. They were really slaughtered. I mean, the way they died was the old forms of execution. So a mask was put on their head, and they were kind of like bolted to some wooden board in the back, and then somebody like put a metal, I forgot what this particular method of execution is called, but basically the executioner will steer a metal, like a metal controller. So basically you get strangled. So it's kind of like getting hanged, but I think this is more painful because when you're hanged, you just drop, and then you snap your neck. And this one, you kind of like feel your throat, your neck, and your back slowly getting grinded until you just die, right? So for some reason, that part of the movie, I felt I myself was going through the experience of dying. And I am not a history expert, so if I misquote history on this, but apparently the three priests were implicated for a crime they were not directly uh, involved in, right? Especially the younger one and the older one, who definitely had nothing to do with the mutiny that caused the Spanish Governor General to, you know, put his hand of military justice down and have these three priests unjustly convicted and executed. So, why I was triggered by their death was because I felt the great injustice that the colonizers of old did to this nation. And why is it, and how is it then a spiritual talk or a religious talk? So now, in six minutes through the video, I actually am gonna tell my the title for my talk this morning, and the title is did the early Catholic Church really intend to spread the message of love, or to spread the dominion of Spain? So I know it's a long title. We'll get it shorter in a little bit, but that is kind of like the theme that has been brewing in my mind since I finished the movie like around 1 a.m. this morning. And it's really disturbing, because if the Spaniards at that time, in the time the colonization of the Philippines, was ongoing, we're mostly Catholic, right? So and this was, and they were I think Spain was at the forefront of Catholicism at the time. How the message of Jesus, which is to spread love, and the kingdom of God, which is kingdom of peace, a kingdom of compassion, a kingdom of kindness. This is it's just so, I find it so ironic, almost on the opposite side, that the first thing that the Spaniards did when they got to the Philippines was wage war against the native tribes in order to win them over, which is, I think, not what Jesus would have wanted. So there was a lot of bloodshed to get the message of Christianity across. And this really supposed to be the message of Christianity, the message of Catholicism. Is this what the early Catholic Church intended, in as far as their intention of spreading the gospel, the good news? Or maybe the church itself. So when the three priests were being strangled to death over a crime they were accused of and unjustly convicted, I wondered if the Filipinos back then ever questioned. I mean, of course, they eventually questioned. So the heroes that came forth, Jose Rizal, Andres Bonifacio, and General Luna, they all were products of the injustice done to those three priests, perhaps. But I sense even modern day Philippines, there is still that undercurrent of what the original Catholic Church during the Spanish era or Spanish colonization is still very much present, very much real when you look at Philippine society. Among them, Filipinos' proclivity not to question authority. Filipinos being subservient to foreigners. Filipinos not thinking highly of themselves in the context of being equal to other nationalities. The proclivity to underestimate ourselves, because now I finally get to connect the dots that the early days, the first 300 years of the Spanish colonization was driving the mindset that Filipinos are indios or second-hand citizens in their own country. And something like that is not easily replaced. I think the concept of Indio is still very deeply ingrained in the hearts of many, many Filipinos. And I find that very sad, because I think that is one of the reasons why even the most educated, the most capable Filipinos who end up assuming very important leadership roles in society carry this degraded image of himself. That no matter how successful, how intelligent, how enlightened even we may become, because the concept of Indio is so deep in our DNA, it will take so much relearning, so much flushing out of that, flushing out that negative self-image of ourselves as a people has to take place before we can finally really say we have what can be called Filipino pride or Pinoy pride, which really, if you look at it from the perspective of the movie Gomburza, does not exist. If deep within the level of Filipino mindset and culture there is that underlying powerful tone of Indio, how can we see ourselves as anything more than second-rate citizens, even our own country? That's why the huge divide, huge discrimination between the poor and the rich. That rich people, I'm not saying all, but the worst discrimination, I think, is that of social standing. That we just because someone's poor, we automatically think they're uneducated, we can do whatever you want with them, or it's just sad. And you cannot get rid of 400 years of brainwashing. So I'm now just starting to understand why we as a people have a very difficult time have any real concept of what it means to be Filipino. Because if you've seen the movie, you will realize. Again, I apologize if I misrepresent or say the wrong things about what the movie intended, but if you've seen the movie, you will realize that the Catholic Church back then in Spain never had the intention to make the Philippines a great nation. They were here to obviously exploit our natural resources, exploit human you know, the Filipinos, make them work them as second hand. Even the Spanish people who were born in the Philippines were considered half-breed and mongrels. So that's what I want to point out today, that I hope those who are listening and have had the same questions of why it is such a struggle for the Philippines to become a great country. It circumvents, it comes back. A country cannot be great if the people, if the citizens cannot think of themselves as great. But we cannot think of ourselves as great if our idea of great are the people we look up to who are not great. I don't wanna mention names here because I don't want to get into a lawsuit with any of these people who are, I know, will file a lawsuit on the drop of a heartbeat if I call out names. But the ones we look up to, especially the ones the people look up to, the masses, the ones they look up to, they're not worth looking up to, because they're not even role models. They're crass. They are what Filipinos should not be, and yet we look up to them. But why do we look up to these people who were not supposed to be role models? Because we deep inside don't know who we are. Because deep inside the heart of Filipinos, we think we are Indios. How do we get rid of this? It will be a few hundred years of getting rid of that stain in our DNA. It has to start now. The education system has to be reprogrammed completely so that, you know, like when I travel, and like especially Japan, right? Very clear when you talk to a Japanese how proud they are of their country, how proud they are of their history, their heritage, and they're very clear of what they're supposed to be proud of and what they're not supposed to be proud of. You will feel deep inside a Japanese person's heart their love for their country, which is very rare to find from a Filipino. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And this is not our fault directly. It's our fault when we do not find the time to question, to try to understand why we have this problem in the first place. So now I want to conclude my talk by urging those who haven't seen the movie Gomburza to go and see it. And when you've seen it, come back to this talk and let me know your thoughts and insights. So here I want to thank you again for subscribing to our channel, Usapang Religion, and my videos, Crossroads of Faith. I hope this talk has been an eye-opener for those who have been asking the same question. I'll see you in the next talk. So I leave you with this question. If you are a Filipino watching this, what are you proud of as a Filipino, and why are you proud of it? Maraming salamat po, Gasho. I'll see you in my next talk.